Yo, what's up, Green Blood fans? Surprise, surprise, I wasn't paying attention, but another two chapters of Green Blood were released after chapter 29. So we got another, you might as well say, a triple threat today. And damn, I was really pleased with that because I don't think I've ever seen more than one Green Blood chapter released in the same day. Other than the manga stream ones, but those were behind because Manga Reader released them a few months ago. So yeah, I was really pleased with that. I was shocked, and this one's called Culprit, and it's basically like what I said in the last one. It's basically rounds up this arc, and like with the whole farm business, Jenny Macy's farm and everything, and the two brothers moving on, but not without a bit of trouble. So at the in this chapter, Brad basically goes after Charles Howard, and he threatens him. He's basically telling him, I don't want to harm you if I don't have to, but hand over the Macy's land deed and nothing will happen to you. But he falls over, like literally dying, bleeding in hell, and like, well, I'm thinking, what the flip? So who killed him already, or tried to kill him? Not that he doesn't deserve it, but I'd preferred Brad and Jenny to do it. But yeah, he's on the floor gurgling his blood, saying he took everything from me, and he's like the Crimson Blood gang leader, Edward King. And Brad's basically like, obviously, hearing that name, just all rage just comes out of him. He's told him, like, where is he? Tell me where he is. And bad thing for him is while Brad was doing that, someone walked in, some woman. She basically screams, cried wolf, saying murder, there's a murderer here, and he's had to flee. So basically people think that the robber who killed Howard was Brad, and now basically the railroad have put a price on his head. We find out that the railroad at that time was really becoming very flourish and growing a lot. The governments were lending out loans to anyone who wanted to buy land because obviously they'll profit from it. And it's like anyone could be a manager. You could just say you were a railroad manager, and you could get basically a loan and make your own railroads without any questions. So basically Charles Howard was replaced straight away. Some new guy came along and he's a manager. And yeah, we see that there's a wanted poster for Brad now. It's like $1,000. So yeah, he's kind of screwed now. But they were leaving anyway. But damn, hopefully that only stays in that town, innit? Unless the wanted posters go further up. So Edward King is we see him in this chapter, and he's talking to that. One of the guys I mentioned, part of the gang in chapter 28. Parrot Big Mouth, and I think he is kind of those recon surveillance things. He basically informed him and said, the fast straw hawk has been killed by some farm boy, and Edward King was like, that's a shame, but at least we got away with all this money. And he's like, yeah, about that. And it's like, you wouldn't believe how funny it was. Like, that's how he was literally laughing. He was saying that they got away with it, and Brad has basically been framed. And he shows Edward in the picture now, and he's like, this guy's interesting. So he obviously knows who he is, and he's smirking about it. And yeah, we see Jenny now with her lot for the final time, and basically the new managers come to her asking to buy her land, and she's like, what? He's like, you're gonna offer me tons of money to buy me off or kill me? It's like, get stuff and get lost. And she aims a gun at them, and they're like, no, we don't mean it, and they run off. Like, this freaking girl's crazy. And after she basically says up to the skies she'll protect this place, it's her mom and dad's place, and she was grateful that the two idiot brothers protected this place for her. And we see a little, her staring at a crucifix at the end. And just before that, we see Luke has found out some more information. A guy in Wellington has basically was the one that tattooed Edward King, that tattoo on his chest. So basically that's where they're gonna go now, to Wellington, and the arc closes there. So yeah, as I said, just pretty much summarized the whole, finished off the arc and summarized everything. So it was a nice little closure. They're going to move on to somewhere else now, and it was really good. So I'm just really glad that how Charles Howard got what was coming to him, even if it wasn't Jenny and Brad that done it. But you know what, karma's a bitch, and he got what was coming to him, that freaking fat creep. And you know, even though Anne Macy suffered a thing, at least her death was paid with both of them. Hawke and Charles Howard are both dead. So yeah, that was a wrap for this arc, and I can't wait to see the next chapter. Well, I've seen it already, but you'll see in a minute. So yeah, not much to say. You know, I don't really think there'll be much discussions unless you lot haven't read it yet. But if you have any opinions and you what you feel about this arc and the chapters, let me know as usual. Leave us a like if you like the chapter and the video, and also subscribe for more content in the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video in a sec.